All right.
Cool.
So
Cool.
basically, you know, what we're saying there is important. We're looking at a lot of dialing a lot of systems and tightening things up. And I was going to say that's really important because Shane's at a point now where you've come over kind of phase one of the business, which is getting to a consistent 10K a month, which is not a magic number, but it basically signifies that you validated your product. You've got something that people are attracted to, they're sticking with it.
Yeah.
And so it's got scale potential.
Yeah.
And so in order to scale to the next level and get to the next milestone, which would be, you know, maybe mid six figures or even high six figures, we need to make sure we have a solid foundation of concrete before we try building a skyscraper, because as the stats show, 74% of businesses fail because they attempt to scale too quickly. And what too quickly means is before they can either afford to, or if they do have a big cash injection, they don't have the systems and operations in place to handle the scale adequately, and ends up biting them on the ass, basically.
Yeah, I think that's definitely where I'm at right now, because up to this point, as you know, like I've just messaged you loads over the last like 6 months intermittently, just saying, oh, we've had a new record sales month, we've done this and that. But that's me doing that. That's like, it's me like sorting every last bit of that process out, like manually. So if I just decided I don't want to do sales for a week or something, I don't make sales for a week. And it's the same for all of the processes, not just for sales, but for like making sure that we know the numbers at all times. So if I say, oh, we've got a problem with X, Y, and Z in the company, the first thing you're going to ask is like, so what's your conversion rate at this stage, or whatever that particular number is. And right now, I'm not really massively, keeping on top of those numbers because I'm doing everything manually, and it works to now. But then, like you said, to scale that, it's like, what are we scaling? Like, what are the numbers that we're going to scale? And those numbers need to be in place. So getting, so we have like a new member of staff that's going to be, basically my assistant is going to be taking care of lots of bits and pieces, but included in that is the financial tracking, leads tracking, literally from whenever they enter my world straight until, in 5 years, maybe they leave a program or something, fair enough. But we need to know every last metric along that period of time, no matter how long that is. And, that this is part of the reason why I'm here, because we don't have that in place. And that's definitely going to be, it's probably going to be helpful, I'd say, yeah.
And that's it. So if you're not assessing, you're just guessing, basically. Like, you can't really help them. And this is the thing, a lot of you guys will come ask me questions for help, but I'm going to respond with, what are your numbers on that? Because if you can't tell me the numbers, I can't really help you. The client says, I'm not losing weight. Okay, well, how many calories did you eat? Well, I don't know. Then we don't know how many calories reduction to offer. We don't even know if calorie reduction is the problem, right? And so, same thing, guys. What you'll find is the areas where you feel overwhelmed, the areas you feel you're running around content all day, or you're running around putting out fires from your team. Whatever area you find yourself most overwhelmed and continually running around, I guarantee it's the area that you know the numbers the least. Because you don't know the numbers, and in that uncertainty, we always revolt back to just hustling harder. I don't really know the sales numbers, so if I just hustle my face off to get more sales, the number of sales should end up being okay. I don't know how my marketing's working, so I'll just make 1 billion pieces of content a day, and that hopefully will solve the problem. I don't know what my profitability is, so if I just hustle my face off to make more cash and revenue, hopefully that'll make some profit. I don't know how well my team are performing because I haven't given them clear metrics to follow. I'm not tracking their actual performance. So I'll just keep telling them over and over and over again, and keep shouting at them, and keep offering them pay rises, or keep withdrawing their bonuses. I'll just keep doing stuff because I don't have a fucking clue what's actually going on. Same way, if I'm, trying to gain muscle and I'm not tracking my calories, I'm just going to eat more and more and more junk food just to hope I end up with a good enough number. I don't even know what good enough even is. And again, it can work up to a point if you're on your own, if everything depends on you. and you're happy with a low six-figure lifestyle business that just basically is a full-time job, then that's cool. Don't really change anything. But if you want to scale beyond you, and you want to not go insane, there comes a point you have to just start to look at the numbers. Okay, your clients have to do it with their nutrition and their workouts. You have to start doing it with your business, and so like I just hope you guys can take this in, because I'll beat you over the head with it. No, you still think your ego tells you that more hustle and hard work can overcompensate for not knowing the numbers, and it will not. The hard work you're doing without the clarity of numbers is just you hustling and digging your way into a grave, right? But if you actually know the numbers and you do the smart work on top of that, you can lay strong foundations that you can then scale with good perspective, with patience, without the stress, and you can do it that way. So drop us some chat below, guys, like who needs to work more on their numbers, and what kind of numbers do you think you should be tracking?
Who wrote pineapple, by the way? We never got confirmation on that. Definitely Jack.
I guess that was Jack. Yeah, I did. He said, haha. So, I mean, some of the numbers I fired at you was, I mean, what were they? I can't remember, but what were some of the numbers that I asked you that maybe you did know, and some of the ones that you're clear on? And what are some of the numbers then that you were caught with the left hook?
Yeah, so I think one of the main ones is like, we know a lot of the numbers. So let's say, for example, like how many leads did you get this week? Like we can get that. Obviously, it's pretty easy to get that number. But if you said, okay, you know, lead number 4 that came in at week 4, were they in the Facebook group or not? Like, so do you know, like, take a look at one lead and see it as a timeline? Like, we don't have any of that data at all. We just know that we've got this many leads, this many people joined the Facebook group, this many sales were made. We don't know like where in those leads did what. We just know those, like, you know, non-longitudinal numbers, if you like. So, you know, that's like really something that is going to be in place over the next week for us, so that we can literally see what every single one of the leads that we have coming into the company is doing.
Yeah. So Shane's talking about is the client life cycle, basically, and you have a template for this at the end of module 3. But what's really important is, guys, that what we're saying is tracking your lead to your prospect to customer life cycle, because there are certain milestones or benchmarks in the relationship that you're doing. You want certain things to happen. Okay, you want a prospect to take an action, to identify as a prospect, and then take maybe 1 or 2 or 3 actions that move them closer to being a buyer in your front end product. And actually, most of you guys have local businesses, and you have a smaller volume of leads. So this is actually far easier for you to do. Shane's working with like online, and same as me. So we have, like, you know, we can have dozens and dozens of leads in 1 week sometimes. But we still track just as diligently. In fact, I took my online tracking systems from my offline businesses. And in Shane's case, so Shane has, first step is they'll enter their email address, you know, for the lead magnet. But then we entice them to join Shane's Facebook group, his free group. And that's because we'll get more engagement from someone in a Facebook group. You can start to build a quicker connection with them. They can see more content and stuff like that. And then the next step for Shane is for them to like book a phone call with him. And then the final action then is to attend the call and buy one of his products. So obviously what we're starting to implement now is for Shane to track the name of every person that comes in. Every lead is a real person, remember? We forget that sometimes. It's a real person that's asked for help. What is the name of that person? Did they enter your email list? Okay, what date? That's important as well. When did they enter the email list? When did they do next step 2? Did they join the Facebook group yet? Okay, and what date did they do that? Was it immediately, or was it 7 days later? And then from the group, when did they then book a call? And what date was that? And when did they buy? And what date was that? And just those 4 things like that. Or for a lot of you guys running the local FEO method, it would be something like opt in on the form, submit an application form, attend a phone call, purchase, front end offer, right? Like those four numbers would be very similar for you. And it's very important because what you want to figure out is your prospect to buyer life cycle, or your sales velocity. How fast does it take on average for a prospect to enter your funnel and become a customer? Because if you know this, you can then work out, you have a huge marketing advantage because you'll know exactly what you can afford to spend, because you'll know what it costs to get a prospect and you know what you earn for a sale, especially if you know your lifetime value. But also you'll know how much time you can afford, because you're going to know, okay, if a guy opts in today, on average, he's going to convert to a client in 3 weeks from now. And then you know your actual ROI time. A lot of you guys know you'll put like £500 into ad spend, you'll get 50 leads, you make 10 sales, and you think, oh, that's bad, I paid 50 leads, only got 10 sales. But that's this week. But those other 40 leads who will be on your list or in your free Facebook group, if you're following up, if you're giving good content, another 20 of those could become clients within the next 60 days. And then you look at that initial 500 ad spend over a 3-month period or a 60-day period, and you'll see you actually got 5x the ROI you thought you did. But it might be too late then, because you might have already switched the advert off because you think it didn't work, because you were tracking either you weren't tracking numbers at all, or you were actually tracking a small portion of the numbers, but not the actual thing. So tracking that prospect to client life cycle is going to be very important for you guys, and seeing how you can then close that gap and get them along the stages even faster. So what other numbers did we look at so far?
I can't remember. So it's the lead stuff from the adverts.
One thing we did was your financial forecast as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so take a look at what we're going to be projecting to earn as a minimum. What if the company grows by the absolute minimum amount? Where are we going to end up by the end of 2021? End of 2020. So what's the company going to look like at that stage if it grows as a minimum by what we predict? And then obviously we're not going to grow by the minimum. We're going to be doing more than that. I'd like to think we're more optimized than just the minimum. So it's like a mentally, it's just such a rest thing for your brain. So even if you do have 1 month you don't quite hit your target or whatever, it's like my targets are over a year. Not a bit like a client that says like, oh, I've not lost weight over the last 4 days. It's like, well, don't worry about what happens over 4 days. It's a longer process than that. Like what's happened over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. Well, obviously for the business's perspective, it doesn't matter as long as that every quarter we're on average hitting the targets that we want. Then happy days. It doesn't matter about the fluctuation. So I don't have to go, oh shit, we've lost a client or two and we've not made that many sales this month. Best go out and hustle and be really reactive and emotional about it. And it's nothing to do with any of that. It's just like we said, the numbers just aren't adding up, and that's it.
It's all perspective. It's all perspective. It's like, if your client is taking a snapshot of, okay, I lost 1 pound this week. Yeah, I could take a dump and lose a pound. And the problem with that, like I said, without that real long-term perspective, the macro perspective, you look at a snapshot result of what happened, and if it's not according to your life, or it puts you in fear or threat, the first thing you'll do is you'll abandon your game plan. You'll disregard your strategy, and you'll start rushing into emergency tactics. Oh, it wasn't good enough. We've got to make more sales. We should change our price. We should change our funnel. We should fire our ads guy. We should, do all this stuff. And none of those things were really the problem. If you just waited 6 more days, it would have actually balanced out, or wait another month. So the financial projections, guys, this is something that we teach you to do in module 3. And again, most of you.
Thank you. Yep, spot on. Thank you.
And most of you guys, you're still not doing it. And because again, a lot of you guys, I think, still just don't see the value. You don't see the value unless you can feel it and touch it and get a result now. A lot of you guys don't see the value in it, and you're missing that long-term perspective of building a business, and you take things for granted. When you walk into a skyscraper, you don't see the concrete steel foundations built 50 meters under the floor. And you think, well, whatever, I take those for granted, but they're actually supporting the building and stopping it falling on you and killing you. but we just admire looking up the bright, shiny things we can see, and we don't admire the stuff that actually keeps the thing in place. And a financial forecast is the same way like that. So, yeah, one of the things we suggest you do, and it's an important concept actually, because we call them growth projections, not growth goals. I don't necessarily have many growth goals. I have operational goals or process goals and outcome projections. And what that means is, because ultimately what we can achieve is always limited by our current available resources, right? You might say, I want to open a gym and make £1 million a month, right? But if your gym only has the capacity to make $250,000 a month, you can't do it, right? It just doesn't. So it's all good having wishful goals and big thinking and all, magic of thinking big and all that stuff. But in the real world of entrepreneurship, it doesn't work like that. Because first of all, you don't know what you want, right? If I love when people say, what do you want to be in 5 years? It's like, if you'd ask my 15-year-old self, where do you want to be in 15 years? Or what would you like to achieve in 15 years? I just want probably a better PlayStation, right? And so to say like, I want the company to make X number of £1 million, or I want to make 200K a month. These just arbitrary goals that you've got because you got inspired by someone you watched on fucking YouTube, right? There is no actual connection to you to any of these numbers. And in fact, for most of you guys, once you make 10 to 20K a month, you'll never have a real financial goal for your life after that anyway, really, unless you're really crazy spending on stuff, or you have some crazy spending, you want to live like Dan Bilzerian or something. But 99% of entrepreneurs I've met, after they make 10, 15K a month, there's no more personal finance goal that they actually you can want it, but there's no actual connection or need that's going to fuel you to actually make it. So you'll say, I want 100K a month. And as soon as shit gets hard, you'll back off that goal and forget about it. Everyone says, I want to look like, Jay Cutler, be a huge bodybuilder. The minute then their eating plan gets a bit hard or they're a bit sore, they go, I don't need to achieve that goal anymore, actually. So we're always limited by our resource. We're always limited by the capacity we can output. We're limited by our process. We're limited by, in that case, like how much time you can spend in the gym or how much food you can eat. We're limited by how much time you can invest in your business. You're limited by what are your skills. You're limited, like, in Shane's case, if Shane's got a family, a baby, a PhD, he's going to be limited, so maybe someone with an identical company to Shane, all else being equal, but they're not doing a PhD, they can achieve a higher goal than Shane simply because they have fewer priorities, right? So what we have to look at your current resources and say, based on my life as it is and how I like my life to be, what am I willing to put into the process? What time and what energy and what skills and what, other people's, like my team skills, can I leverage right now? If we put all our effort into the best of our ability while maintaining a somewhat decent lifestyle, what are we likely able to do? Maybe Shane says, with that capacity, I could probably handle 3 sales calls a day. I could probably make 3 pieces of content a day. I could probably serve 6 clients a day, right? And so what I find is far more strategic and sensible, but not as sexy, is, well, if that you think is your maximum output and the maximum process you can output right now, then let's just go with that. Let's set that as your process goals. Your goal is to get 3 sales calls a day. It is to make 6 pieces of content a day. It is to do those things you said you could do every day, which are totally in your control, by the way. And then project or estimate what would be the worst case outcome if you did those. So Shane could, example, say, okay, I can do 3 sales calls a day. After that, I'm going to be burned out. I'm going to have to look after my baby and after my PhD. So I can do 3 a day. Or just my quality of life would suffer after that and I want to do other things, right? So, okay, well, let's base it on that then. And then if you can do 3 sales calls a day, that's going to be 30 a week or 90 a month. So now, Shane, now the next resource you have is your skill in sales. Now, do you suck at selling or are you really good?
Absolutely shit.
shit, right? So let's not expect more than a 20% conversion rate. So now Shane knows realistically, if I can do 90 sales calls a month, and because I'm pretty shit at sales at the moment, I'll probably convert like 15 of those people, right? And
It's the other way around.
And see what happens, right? So, and then we can actually, and then you can look at that and say, now, does that meet an adequate target for me? And say, would I be happy with 15 sales a month? And if you, and most of the time you look at it, it actually, you think, yeah, that's actually pretty good. And that's on your least, that's on your least value, on your shittiest skills,
Yeah.
but with process-oriented goals. Now, if you made the case that you said, you know what, if I do that, 90 sales a month wouldn't be enough for me to break even and make a profit, then okay, we can look, you have to then say, let's either change the target or change the strategy. Or maybe you need to hire a proper salesperson who could close that many sales for you, right? In which case, it'll just take a bit more money to invest. But 90% of the time, that doesn't happen. 90% of the time, if we put our process goals into it and we do the right things with our time, or we don't fuck around doing nonsense, you can actually more than achieve goals that would actually make you happy. What most people do, they get pumped up, they try a new strategy, a new tactic, they'll go all in, same with a fitness program or a diet, they'll go all in extreme for the first week. I'm gonna hustle 10 hours a day. And maybe for 4 days you can do it. But on day 5, day 6, day 7, you always quit. And then look for the next strategy. So, you know, put these big outcome goals away and have process goals, which are fully in your control. Like, I will reach out to 5 prospects from my email list today. I will start conversations with 5 salons in my area. I will walk into 6 cafes and talk to the manager about a joint venture partnership with my gym. I will make 6 pieces of content. I will do whatever. Those things are fully in your control, and there's no BS about you not doing them anymore. And if you then look at what are the natural, probable, realistic outcomes of you doing those things consistently, you're going to have a far actually sustainable grown business with far less stress. And so, and that's how we do with a financial projection. It's a projection based on what Shane's doing, his capacity and his team's capacity, and the capacity of the money he can invest into the business and how that could work for him. We then look at what's the worst case of numbers. So I think we estimated for you, like, if 3 new clients a month join your program, was it?
Yeah.
So in the whole of 2020, we've just put, okay, here's Shane's estimated recurring revenue in January, plus 3 new clients on top. Here's his new estimated recurring revenue in February, plus 3 new clients join. Then there's the revenue in March. That takes all of, you know, with spreadsheets, do calculations, takes all of like 9 minutes to do that. And now we can see that at the worst case, he's going to achieve, and the number at the end of the year is like, oh, that's actually a pretty impressive number. But we actually know that his numbers will far exceed that, because he's not going to just do 3 new clients, 3 new clients, 3. It's going to grow exponentially if you just take simple, consistent, sustainable steps, one foot in front of the other. You will learn to sprint. If you try and sprint out of the gate with no direction in mind, you end up going nowhere. Let me know your thoughts and questions and feedback so far, guys. What questions do you have around numbers or systems or operations? Anything specifically you'd like to ask Shane about what he's done? Is there a particular operations challenge, a financial challenge, a mindset challenge, challenge around team building? You know,
I think we talked about earlier, you know, when you're planning the goals of the company, I think I'm like a perfect example of the lifestyle side of things being fulfilled. And I think a lot of company owners not disregard it. Of course they want that, but they just don't mentally prioritize it at the beginning when they're creating their goals, because, you know, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that, like, you know, you could grow by, let's say, 100 grand this year, but would it be that bad if you grew by 75 grand this year
Exactly.
and spent fucking time with your kids and family?
yeah.
It's like, right, so fucking do
Is that not worth 20 grand a year to you?
Paid 20, so you're basically getting paid 25 grand to not see your family this year. Like, that's the way I see it, and I'm not for 1 minute saying you can't go, no, see your family all that time and grow by 200 grand. I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm just saying, like, you know, worst case scenario, just make sure that your fucking mental sanity and happiness and balance in life in general, if that's what you want, is like satisfied. Because you know, there's nothing worse than getting a call from Jade or something saying, you know, I've not seen you for the last 4 days. Like, what the fuck? Not that ever happens. It certainly happened years ago, but it's like, it's absolutely shit when you think the company's going amazing. I've solved all these problems, and then Jade's like, yeah, I've not seen you for 5 days. So what happens? I'm like, fuck.
And if your personal life is a mess, well, if your personal life is healthy, like that's how the only way you're going to sustain the business growth.
Yeah, Jade's on my team.
And
now,
take it. If you make 100K a year, you know, you make 6 figures a year, and yeah, you're already overwhelmed, stressed, not seeing your family. You actually think you're going to scale 10x to 7 figures like that? How is that possibly going to happen? So if you're operating a low 6-figure business and you're stressed, and you want to go, you think 10x in the company to 7 figures is going to help that, you are fucking deluded, pretty much, right? Yeah. You need to, like you need the company to get lean before it can grow, you need to get your lifestyle, your energy in order before you have the energy to actually grow a 7-figure company and deal with the mental shit that comes with that. Definitely. And same way, if you make 100K a year and let's say if you make 75K and you see your family instead of 100 that year, that's great. But what if you make 100K a year and you don't see your family? Yeah. Then the next year, why don't you just pay someone a 25 grand salary, and then in 75 and go and spend with your family? You can still do that too, you know? Cool. Any questions from anyone? Shane, Paul, Alan, Adam. So we're looking at next steps of scaling right now. So we're locking in these systems, operation systems for the team, the prospect client communication systems of your funnel.
Thing, like for me, because it's having the system in place so that the numbers can be reported to me. Like that's the biggest thing. I know some, like we said earlier on, the certain company owners that absolutely love doing they need to know all the data and stuff themselves and have the finger on the pulse literally every hour of every day with every number. That's fine. I know that I'm not going to be that person. Having said that, I still need to know the numbers. So I either don't know the numbers and let the business fail, or get somebody within the team to make sure that I can have access to the numbers at any given time.
Pay someone to find the numbers for you, yeah.
Exactly. So, you know, the next week, April's going to be trained up. She's going to be taking care of the financial tracking on all aspects. So if I can, you know, if I've got a problem that needs solving, let's say the cost of ads goes up or something, I'm thinking, okay, cool, let's see if we can tweak somewhere along that you know, to compensate for that. April, can you give me these 3 figures for the last 3 weeks, if that's all right? Send those across in the spreadsheet. I need to jump on a call Justin later. We can do that.
And people will say, I know people will say oh, but you know, can I justify the cost of paying £600 a month for a part-time admin to get me those numbers? And it's like, well, what's the cost of having clarity?
But
you know, it's
the other thing is you don't have to if you want to stay where you are.
Yeah.
That's fine as well. But I mean, I dare say, if you know, grown by 100 grand this year, that's a pretty big cost as well. If you're not going to do that, so you sort of do need to pay an admin assistant, you know, a few £100 a month to begin with, or something to allow you access to the data so that you can grow 100 grand this year. That's probably actually costing a lot of money. Not gaining. I mean,
every month we have an end of month review, and we go through our P&L line by line, we review every cost our business has outgoing. And we review every single cost, even the ones we kind of would think, oh, we got to keep that one. We know, but what if we didn't? Yeah. We look at everything unbiasedly and say, could we maximize our return from it? Could we reduce it? Could we negotiate it down, or could we eliminate it? And we'll do that with every single cost. You know, and some of us, we have costs we start paying for, and we just assume they should stay there. And we have a very rigorous, diligent, every cost has to be justified. You know, every team member needs to earn their place. So, and that's why we have KPI benchmarks for the team members too. You know, if they're not cutting it, they go. We stop paying the money because we can pay them that money we've calculated based on the ROI that comes back when they meet their process goals. So we, and just this last month, I think we saved another £500 a month. The rata was like, we can cut this, we can reduce this, cut this off. That's £500 a month, or £6,000 a year now saved by just doing that once in a month. So if you do pay someone £500-600 a month as an admin person to come in just to literally be like a trainee CFO, I guess, just to get all the number data and present it to you, you're gonna first of all get clarity on where are we spending too much on things we don't need to spend on anymore. You're gonna look at where are we spending on things that are just making nothing back for us in return, and you're also gonna get the sales and lead numbers and see where are we not making enough money, right? What are we spending money on that's not making us anything back? Is this team member making us an ROI? Are these ads making us an ROI? Is this funnel making an ROI? Is this gym equipment making us an ROI? And then you've got to just negotiate hard on all those costs, and I would say negotiate really hard. If you can negotiate for 10% off everything you pay for, 80% of suppliers would give you a 10% discount just by asking.
I've literally just done that with, what's that, Active Campaign, is it?
Yeah.
And I've just literally sent them an email saying, could somebody call me? I said, I'm thinking about it. We're definitely switching. Like, they don't know that. So it's like, is there anything you can do? Is there any offers you've got on or anything? It's like, most people just go online,
pay the fee,
AWeather, go onto there and sign up, and that's fine. But like, you could have probably saved like 300 quid this year, or I don't know, whatever it would be. So like, I think I'm getting it might be an extra month or two or something on the house, and it's like the second month and like the 6th month for free or something. It's like, well, it's better in my pocket than Active Campaigns. So,
yeah.
But you do that for everything, absolutely everything. Even if you just ask a question and they say no, like 8 times out of 10, you'll get something. So, all right, we'll one of our platinum clients this month just said, we're gonna sign up over the next, do split payments over the next 4 months. And then they said, is there anything you can do if we just pay up front today? I was like, yeah, definitely.
Of course, yeah.
Like, that's not a problem at all. So, there's always like a little tweak to be made and a little deal to be made. So you get your Del Boy head on a little bit. So,
yeah.
Not Del Boy, but like maybe Grant Cardone.
And so, go to your own clients too, and say to your own clients, would anyone like to get the next 6 months at a discount? If you pay in full for our 6-month gym membership, we'll give you a 10% discount or whatever. We sell a lot of 6 and 12-month memberships paid in full at our gyms now. I think most sales actually, we make more sales of paid in fulls now than we do recurring memberships. So, because we have really good offers and it just gets all the cash flow. We lose a bit of money long term by that 10% discount, but then it's like paying 10% extra of interest to get all the money up front as a loan, let's say. So that keeps the business very healthy. All right, I don't think there's any more questions. So anything final wisdom you want to impart on people?
Genuinely, that I honestly do think that's one of the most important things. I know it's not like a business strategy or tactic or anything, but if you're not prioritizing your personal needs, like for me, like I said, it's time to do my PhD research for the next fucking 5 years. I need that time. And also, I've got a little boy, he's 1 year old. I don't want him to get to 10 years old and go, who's that guy? Oh yeah, fucking hell, I forgot I had a kid. That's definitely not going to happen. So that also, because that's in place first, that also informs every decision we make to creating partnerships with people. So, if I was on my own, didn't have a wife, didn't have a kid, didn't have, that just wasn't part of my priority. Yes, we can start doing vegan recipe books if somebody asks. I'm doing webinars just because I'm doing it. You can hustle and do what you want. That's fine. But for me, it's we've got the clear company vision, company goals. I know what my priorities are. If somebody asks me for a service that's off path from what we've set out to do, the answer is no. It doesn't matter how much money it gives us, because that takes up too much of the time. I'm not, literally in my head, I'm I'm not gonna earn this extra few thousand or whatever it is to spend 3 hours less with Shay every week for the next 6 months. It doesn't make fucking sense, because the systems we've got in place are leverageable and scalable, or whatever the right word is. So, you know, if we can get more people the way we're doing things, we're increasing profitability, turnover, etc., etc. I'm not adding any more time to my calendar. So why would I not just seek that out instead? But that's all come from prioritizing my needs first, instead of, like we said, creating like a multiple six-figure company and then going, oh, but your wife and your kids have left you. Like genuine. I'm not being horrible. It's just, you know, it is a genuine consideration that people don't think about at the beginning stage, and then plan everything out and reverse engineer it from there, instead of, you know, being on the brink of a divorce or something and then having to fucking completely overhaul the company and do everything different. Like, you know, that's my definite first recommended piece of advice anyway. But yeah.
Brilliant. So that wraps it up there, guys. And, you know, basically a lot of what we've done is with Shane is go back and redo some things from the program that you have access to right away. So we kicked off with module 1, and we made sure Shane was clear on his productive daily planner. That's in module 1 for you. Then we went into module 2, we went into vision, core values, and culture, and we outlined a bigger vision for Shane and his next steps into scaling. Then we went to module 3, where Shane then started with the financial projections, tracking some of those core numbers, estimating what his revenues will be next year, estimating what his costs will be, and therefore estimating what the profit margin will be at the worst case scenario, based on the time, energy, and skill he can invest today. And that's pretty much where we're at. And we looked a bit at module 5 today on some at the marketing funnel and making sure we're tracking the lead journey at every step of the way. So all that is included in the modules for you guys. We're not learning anything outside of the FBB program. I'm not sharing secret information with Shane here that I don't give to you guys. You know, it's just pretty much 2 days here where we've been forcing Shane just to actually implement more of what's in the program. And when you do the same, guys, you will have the same success. It's a recipe. It's proven. It will work every time, even for you. If you think you're a special snowflake and the laws of the universe don't apply to you, I'm telling you, unfortunately, they do. So there's no running. There's no hiding. Go through the program. Use the implementation checklist. And as always, let us know if you have any questions on that, and we can help you out in the support group. All right, guys, have a great day, and I'll talk to you later on. Bye from Shane.
Take care.